What's going on, buddy? My Season, and welcome back to another video. And today, guys, we're gonna be getting started with web development and HTML. And once we do HTML, we'll get into CSS. And once we get done with CSS, we'll get into JavaScript and all that fun stuff. So that's very, very cool. So I have an MTA and HTML and CSS. So I kind of know what I'm doing when it comes to web development. I just didn't watch a YouTube video, and now I'm teaching y'all 20 minutes afterwards. So yeah, we're gonna learn some HTML. Now we gotta learn what HTML is. Well, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. We see markup language in there, meaning it's not a programming language. Programming languages are used for functional purposes. They make a program or a website work. Markup languages like HTML are used for design and making what appears, in our case, a web page. So what shows up on our web page. So yeah, very, very cool. And HTML courses used to make websites. It's been used since 1989 when it was made. Very, very cool. It was made, I believe, with the release of the World Wide Web as well. So it's been around since the World Wide Web, the web design and websites and all that fun stuff. Alright, so here we are. We have our IDE, and I'm using Visual Studio Code. You do not have to use Visual Studio Code. You can use Visual Studio. You can use Notepad. You can go onto About Blank, go to Inspect, hit console, or not console, hit this in here in this body, edit HTML, and write your HTML code in each of these tags if you want. But I'm going to use an IDE, a Visual Studio Code, and all that stuff. So I have Visual Studio Code open. I got nothing here. We need to add some things to Visual Studio Code before we start doing anything. These are called extensions. So if you've never used Visual Studio Code before, or you haven't added an extension, these like blocks, you're gonna hit them. It's called extensions. Now I have many extensions here, as you can see. It'll tell you what extensions you have installed. I have 23, and some recommended ones based on what you've programmed or coded in before, and other extensions that you have. So I have 4 recommended ones, and it makes it easy to install. So very, very cool. So there's 5 extensions that I recommend getting when using web design. So the first one is called Live Server. So we just look up Live Server. Here it is, same one. We see Live Server by RiddleQuickD, and it has 12 million downloads. Means a lot of people have used it. And then you're just going to hit the green install button, and then you're going to install it. It's a very, very simple process. And then once you install it, you got it done. If you have it installed and you want to disable it for whatever reason, there's a disable button. And you don't have to uninstall it and all that fun stuff. So that's very, very cool. Live Server allows us to have a website open, our website open, and we can see the changes live, which is very, very cool. So we can see the changes before we publish them. It's awesome. So the second extension that we need to get is HTML. Actually, let me see if I have it. Yes, I still have it. Okay. It's HTML CSS Support. It's by this guy right here. It's about almost 6 million downloads at the time of recording this video. Yeah, if you click on it, it takes you to their webpage on Visual Studio. And it has a lot of cool things. So basically it allows us to have attribute completion when we use IDs and classes, which you might not know, but it's basically just an identifier of what each thing on our website is. So maybe a video is going to have an ID of the welcome video. And then when we add color or border and stuff to it, we use that, and it makes our process a lot easier. So that's very cool. The next one is, which is right below it, it's HTML snippets. It has about 5 million downloads. And this allows us to just type something in, and then it can complete it for us before we add our information. Of course, it's not going to add what we're thinking, but it's going to add the bare minimum that we need. It's very cool, and that's kind of snippet. So yeah, it's very helpful. A lot of these extensions have videos on how to use them, if you like to do that. And the last one that I think is just kind of required is Visual Studio. Yeah, IntelliCode. This is just AI assistance, and we don't use it in HTML. We use it in JavaScript, but you gotta make a website with JavaScript, so that's something you should know. And then the last one is called Live Share. Oh my gosh, I'm like throwing this pencil around. And this is where you can collaborate with me, other people, and code together. It's really, really cool. It has voice calling as well as just the file where you code. So those are the 5 extensions you have. That's very, very cool. Let's head back to the Explorer and add an HTML folder. So we're going to make a folder. I know you guys can't see my folders, but bear with me. I am creating a folder. If I can find my other folder I want to put it in. And we're going to create a new folder. I'm going to call mine Web Development Series. And then you're just going to select it. You're not going to add anything to it. You're just going to select the folder. Inside this folder is all of our website stuff. All of it. We're going to have our images, our CSS files, our JavaScript files, our HTML files, and all of that fun stuff. Very, very cool. So here we see our folder appearing on the screen. If you have multiple folders open, then you're going to see multiple folders here. But we just see one. And I called it Web Development Series. We have some buttons here. We have New File, New Folder, Refresh Explorer, and Collapse Folders in the Explorer. Now, you don't have any folders or files in here, so Collapse won't do anything. But let's add a file. We got to add an HTML file to write our HTML. So you can either click this button right here, or you can right-click and hit New File. So I'm going to call it index.html. When making an HTML file or any other language, you got to put that language at the end of the dot. So HTML, so it's going to be .html. If we did .js, it would be JavaScript. If we did .txt, or .text, it would be text. If we did Python, is it Python? Yeah, py. It's Python. I don't know Python, so that's why. As well. Now you can name this whatever you want. You could do head.html. You could do about.html. home.html, contact.html, whatever you want. I'm just going to stick to index.html. So it's very, very cool. And now we can see here, Open Editors has what we have open, index.html. So that's going to show up here. You can click this X to close it, or you can hit this X kind of like on a browser. You can hit the X to close a tab. Same thing as well. This is where we write our HTML code. To start out, if you're using Notepad or something, you might want to do this. But we're going to use it to teach you, and I get in the habit when I make an HTML file. I always do this. So in HTML, we have something called tags. And tags are like a node. They're basically, they each have a purpose. Each tag is specific to something else. So we have a P tag that's used to create paragraphs. We have a HTML tag that is used to write our HTML code. So in between the HTML tags, it's going to be our HTML code. But we need to define this document, this HTML file, as HTML code. So what we got to do is inside our tags, which are going to be angle brackets, all tags are written in angle brackets, we're going to write exclamation mark doc type as one word, DOCTYPE. Exclamation mark doc type, that's going to be in all caps, and then we're going to type in HTML. And I did this in all caps, that's fine though. That's very, very cool. Now we defined it, I thought we had HTML. Now we gotta write HTML tags. So we're just gonna type in HTML. Oh wait, I see it right here because of that extension we got. I'm gonna hit tab and it's gonna complete it for us. And there we go, we have HTML. Now, most tags in HTML has something called a closing tag. So the closing tag is gonna be the same thing. We're gonna do our angle brackets, but we're gonna put a slash and then the name of the tag. So slash HTML. In between the opening tag and the closing tag is going to be our information. So in between the HTML tags is our HTML. Very, very simple. Now there's two more sets of tags you need. We need the head tag, and then we need the body tag. So what do each of these tags do? Well, the head tag has things that do not show up on our web page. It may have the web page title, the language that we're putting in, so maybe English. We're telling Google to not translate things. We're putting in what shows up on a search engine and stuff like that. Maybe we're writing the author of the web page. Anything like that. In the body tag, we're going to write what shows up on our web page. So that's what the body is. Very cool. So our body is just this white space we see here on my web page. That's the body for you. Very, very cool. So yeah, that's about it actually. Something I want to show you is Visual Studio Code, and Visual Studio might be the same. I'm going to copy this though. Is if you type in doc and hit tab, I'll close that, Control B. We see a lot of things pop up. We don't have the doc type.html. We kind of defined it as HTML English, and we have our head tag, our body tag, our HTML tags. We have some stuff here in our head tag, which we're actually going to get into the next video. Is the head tag. all about what's going to be inside our head tag. So meta, the title, all of that fun stuff. So we have our char set, so UTF-8, which is going to be like our language, the viewport, the width of the web page, and then our title. So very, very cool. Now I'm just going to delete this because not all these IDEs have that, and I'm going to paste back our skeleton that we made before. So that's very, very cool. Now, you want to constantly save your work. You don't want to make a web page, have your computer crash, and you just all that work from 6 hours. So periodically, and I say this every minute or two, or every time you finish up like a tag or something, hit Control S. That's your save. It's very, very simple. It's very, very cool. And yeah, that's it. Awesome. So let's write some stuff on our web page. So we just go in between our body tags, and say this is a this is a web page, and we save it. Oh, I have about blank open. Let me start up a live server. There we go. Now it's going to say this is a web page. Yay! Okay, so we say this is a web page. Very, very cool. Because we wrote it in between our body tags. If you write this in between our head tags, this is a web page. I don't think it'll show up. It will show up. Okay, that's cool. Actually, that is very cool. I didn't know that because I've never done that. So, how I think this works is if you type it somewhere on the HTML document, it's going to show up on the web page. But I think the body tag is just to organize it. Or it might just be a Visual Studio Code or a Chrome thing. I don't know. Because HTML constantly updates and it kind of differs per browser. So like if I do it before doc type HTML will show up, I think it will. Yeah, it will. Of course, I have a very updated system. Not system's going to be the same. So I recommend just sticking all your stuff in between the body tags. It's great for organizational purposes. So I want to start a new line. So I'm going to, hit enter to start a new line on my IDE. And we're going to say, bye. You can put your name. And I'm going to put the Eason. Or actually, I'll put by : Eason. And I'll remove that period. So if we save it, it's going to say this is a web page, and it's going to say by the Eason. But I want to start a new line for that. Well, to do that, we're just going to set a tag. And we're going to say BR. That's it. BR. No closing tag because we don't put any information in between BR. So we just say BR. It says, I think it's break row or something like that. I don't know what it means. But it's just a line break. So if we hit save, it's going to start a new line. That's great. So this is a web page, and this is by the Eason. I'll zoom in for you guys so you can see that. So it's very, very cool. Now I want to write a comment so anyone who's viewing this knows that this is going to show up on line 1, and then this will show up on line 2. So we're going to write a comment. So to write a comment, it's a tag. And so you're going to do angle bracket, exclamation mark, hyphen, hyphen. And then with our snippet, we can see this pops up. And then to end it, you're going to do hyphen, hyphen, close the bracket. So we can copy these last 3 characters, hyphen, hyphen, closing bracket. And as you can see here, all this is comment. It changed colors. It's now green. So we can end this comment right here after by the Eason. And we save that. It's not going to show up on our web page. But if we remove that, actually, yeah, move that back there, it's not going to show up on our webpage because it's not in between the comment. Comments have stuff that's not going to show up on the webpage. You can use comment to inform people on what's happening or as like a placeholder for something before you have it. So inside of this comment, we're just going to write line 1. Then we're going to write another comment below this that tells them that the by Eason thing is on line 2. And we save it. We don't see these on our webpage. But if we go to our elements here, we can see in between our body tag that it's here in a comment, and it tells us, hey, this is on line 1. Very, very cool. And one last thing that we're going to do, actually, is I want a horizontal line after the Eason. I want a line there, and we might have our paragraphs, our articles, and all that cool thing. To do that, we're just going to write HR. And there you go. We have a horizontal line. It's not styled. It's not colorful because we haven't used CSS. HTML, we're going to put our stuff on the web page. After we learn HTML, then we'll get into CSS. Then we'll start making things pretty. And that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. The next video is all about the head tags. We're going to get into titles, metadata, translate, all that cool stuff. If you guys want to program in other languages or write and all that cool stuff, card above the video, I have some Java videos and some JavaScript videos. If you guys want to go check those out, they're very, very cool. Subscribe, like the video. That helps me out, all that cool stuff. And yeah, I got nothing else for y'all, so head on to the next video. Adios.